The Giants fell to the Commanders on the road on Sunday, and they had their hands full with Commanders rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels. Now, many times before a matchup, we'll look at the opposition who's facing New York teams. But sometimes after the contest, it's good to have that conversation as well. So let's discuss Giants versus Commanders. We're going to do it with a fantastic sports journalist from the DMV area. She reps there to the fullest. The great Kelsey Nicole Nelson joins me now. Kelsey, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Dexter. And I'll say I'm probably doing much better than all your people in New York right now. I know
Well,
it's a tough
I won't even say they're all my people, but I hear you. I understand what you're saying. The Giants fans, they're not feeling so great right now. Now, the Commanders fans, and I actually talked to one yesterday here in New York. I know he's feeling great. I know the Commanders fans down in the DMV, they're feeling well. And the reason being, Kelsey, is because the Commanders and Giants, they were viewed to be behind the Eagles and Cowboys in the division, right? And there was a segment of the Giants fan base that thought that their first two games of the season were winnable. They thought they should have took care of business against the Commanders, but they did not. So were you impressed with what you saw from Washington against the G-Men on Sunday?
I don't know if I'd use the word impress, Dexter, because, look, I mean, let's be honest. 7 field goals won the game. Now, Austin is going to be a very popular guy here in the DMV area for what he was able to do. But all in all, I think the Washington Commanders fan base, they needed this win. We know last week against Tampa Bay, this was a defense that got obliterated. I mean, Baker Mayfield was probably the player of week 1 in the National Football League. And Mike Evans was just having his way. And, of course, many fans, Dexter, were really mad about Jayden Daniels' performance, having to carry the ball 16 times, making it seem like he had to do it all himself and not using his offensive weapons at his disposal. So all that to say, I think, Commanders fans were happy because, one, we got a brand new, newly named stadium here in Washington, Dexter, Northwest Stadium out in Landover, Maryland. And then, of course, this is the first win of this ownership group. And all in all, folks, we're really excited to watch Jayden Daniels on the home field. You have to remember, this is a Commanders team that has really been looking for a quarterback, and many feeling like Jayden Daniels is the first quarterback to bring some type of excitement to the DC region since RG3. And of course, all the fans can do that math. So all in all, I think we're happy with the win, and we know there's a lot of improvement. I think there was a lot of positives. Brian Robinson Jr., the running back, is one of the fan favorites here in Washington. So the fact that he had a 133-yard day on the ground was huge. We always say ground and pound, Dexter, in Washington. Ground and pound. Got to get that run game going. And Austin Eckler being able to contribute to that, I think, was huge. I think someone I was really proud of that I have been raving about in the preseason was Zach Ertz. I think he had obviously all those catches that were able to help convert for Washington all in all. And you have to remember, this is a Washington that was able to get the job done without Terry McLaurin having the best day, right? Noah Brown and receivers like that being able to step up. So all in all, I think Commanders fans are happy that it's a win, but an all field goal win, it's hard, right? We're not watching our DC United team. We're not watching the newly named DC Power team here in Washington. We want touchdowns, right? So I think there is some concern that Jayden Daniels wasn't able to find the end zone in Landover. So we'll take the win. Fans are excited, but they're looking for Jayden to put the ball in the hands of wide receivers in the end zone in Washington.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I get it. The 7 field goals is not the sexiest win, right? But you get the win nevertheless. And you talked about the new ownership group and the newly named stadium in Northwest Stadium down there in Maryland. They got the job done. However, just so I'm clear, Kelsey, the Giants fans, they looked at what happened in week 1 against Tampa for Washington, and my director, Zach, is a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, so he's happy about this. And they look at this and they say, well, we should have been doing the same thing too with the Commanders, but they weren't able to do that. Now, you talked about Jayden Daniels, right? And the 0 touchdown passes that he had on Sunday, but he did throw for 226 yards. He ran for 44. What did you make of his week 2 play without those touchdown passes? And do you believe that he is the answer at the QB position for the Commanders, a quarterback who they've been looking for quite some time? Is he the answer there?
Look, he better be the answer. Look, week 1 was tough for both of these teams. I won't get into week 1 for the New York Giants because I want y'all to be nice to Daniel Jones, all right? I think week 1 was very rough on him. I think he bounced back here in week 2. But I think for Jayden Daniels, I think something that was really impressive, Dexter, the way he was able to evade some of those sacks. Now, yes, I know you're going to say, Kelsey, he got sacked 5 times, but there really should have been more. You really saw the Giants front being able to pressure Washington's offensive line. And I think Washington's offensive line had a little troubles. You look at the penalties, and remember, Washington had had 69 yards worth of penalties. And this one, you can look at the false starts for that offensive line. But all in all, I think Jayden Daniels, I think sometimes I wanted him to get rid of that ball quicker. Sometimes it takes him a while, it seems like, to think to do the run. And obviously, he's evasive. He's athletic. He is a guy that can do it with his legs. But really wanting him to see the field and see the guys that are open, right? Dyami Brown, I think, had a pretty decent game today, wanting to get him more involved. I think especially with the loss of Jahan Dotson, I think a lot more people will be looking for Brown to step up more in that receiver role. So all in all to say, I think Jayden Daniels had a clean, safe game. Look, we're happy when he has no turnovers. Let's just be honest, Dexter. We always love when a quarterback is able to do that. But all in all, I think he played solid. But I do have to say, a large reason why the Commanders, I think, won this game, you think about, obviously, the kicker being out of place, right, for the New York Football Giants. Losing Gano was very hard after Austin Eckler almost had that 98-yard kickoff return to kind of start the game. And then all in all, too, that Singletary fumble, right, also obviously really hurt the Giants. So I think Jayden Daniels got the job done. But all in all, it was a team win. So I think, this is why he's really counting on his teammates. They had his back. But he looked solid. I will say I think he had a very solid performance. But I do think he is the future of the Commanders. Look, we don't want to keep going through draft, Dexter, here in D.C. And we're tired of drafting quarterbacks. We're tired of trying them out. We really just need to find that guy. And I think all in all, Washington fans are, again, they're excited about the prospect of Jayden Daniels and what he was able to put on the football field. And I think this next primetime game that the Commanders have coming up against the Bengals will be a true test. Primetime has been a trouble spot, I think, for Washington fans. It's been a sore spot for Washington fans. So what will he be able to do, especially against a Bengals team that we saw just lost a tough game against the Kansas City Chiefs? So they're going to be looking for vengeance, and a Bengals team that needs a win when you look at the standings right now in a very interesting AFC North battle.
Yeah, very interesting, the AFC North. I always keep a close eye on that division for sure. Now, Kelsey, you mentioned this. You're right. Every team is looking for that quarterback, right? They don't want to have to keep trying to find that guy in the draft. And I know you cover DC sports, but when you look at Daniel Jones and this Giants team, who they actually played better offensively in week 2 than they did in week 1 versus the Vikings, do you think this Giants team is better than their 0-2 record, or are they who you thought they were?
Ooh, now this is a tough one because you said it earlier in the program, Dexter. I think everybody had the Commanders and the Giants fighting for those bottom 2 spots, right, within the NFCs. Now, Cowboys fans, I know, are a little bit startled after what the New Orleans Saints did today. And the Philadelphia Eagles are the Philadelphia Eagles. I think a lot is going to rely on the back of quarterback Jalen Hurts. But I think a lot of people knew there's going to be a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones. And there's a lot of question marks about them. And losing Saquon, of course, that was a huge question. So I think that's why we are continuing to look at the Giants' backs and what they're able to do on the run after losing such a big piece. So all in all, I am hitting the worried button for the Giants, but I think they really are finishing where we thought they would finish. Now, this game was interesting because I know the Giants kind of have had the better of the series, Dexter, in the past. And I think this is why it was a must-win for Washington. And again, a divisional matchup. But, I really don't know how high Giants fans could have really set their sights high. For me, if I'm a Giants fan at the beginning of the season, I would just be happy to get to the 500 level mark. And I know you guys are going to say, Kelsey, we paid Daniel Jones. He needs to step up, but also he can only do what he can do with the weapons around him. Again, he had a solid game today. He was actually able to get into the end zone, unlike, obviously, on the other side of the football, Jayden Daniels, and not his fault that the injury happened to the kicker, Graham Gano. But all in all to say, I think he has the upward side. He was able to also show off his legs, which makes Daniel Jones very dangerous. But all in all, I think the Giants will be a tricky team. I do have them finishing at the bottom of the NFC East, but they will get some wins. They're not going to they're not going to have 0 wins for the entire season, but I really don't know how high New York fans could have had their sights set. I know New Yorkers like to get real excited and kind of do the Cowboys and think they're gonna win the division. But let's be real. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, them securing Dak Prescott was huge. Again, what the Saints did today was wow. I'm really looking at the Saints as a true contender. But the Eagles really have stocked up. They had a good draft. And they had added good weapons around Jalen Hurts. So, again, what are the Giants supposed to do right now, Dexter? I do not know. I mean, every man is going to truly have to step up to make this team get some wins.
Well, it's interesting, Kelsey, because I've heard from some Giants fans, and I heard from one a couple weeks ago, whose expectations were that if everything went right, they could win 9 games. And I've heard other people I've talked to, other reporters say, hey, it could be as low as 5 wins, right? So there's been a variance there. Now, the Giants fans, they're not going to like that you compare them to Cowboys fans, but we'll see how it goes. Look, the next time these two teams face off, the Giants and the Commanders, they'll face off for a second time this season. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm sure at that point, Kelsey, the Giants fans will still feel like it's a winnable game. We'll see how that goes. That is Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Check out her work, one of the great sports reporters in the DMV area. Kelsey, always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure to talk some DC sports with you and a little New York rivalry. And I will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Dexter. Truly, truly appreciate it. Wishing Giants fans brighter and hopefully more greener pastures in the future. Thanks, Dexter. Have a great one.
I'm just sure for you, not against the Commanders, but I think they'll appreciate the love. They will appreciate the love. Thank you, Kelsey. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.